All right, folks, we are here this afternoon with Jacob Rogo,
Hi,
class
everybody.
of 2015.
15.
And most of you guys know Jacob and other members of his family. Anyway, we've asked Jacob to join us via this video interview to share with you some of his experiences, their roots in his Davis experience, and some of the things that he's done along these lines as an example, a model of what we hope you will emulate, and also as an example of what you can do with these current projects or other social action initiatives you've taken in your life in your future. So, Jacob, tell us a little bit about what you remember perhaps from Davis that planted the seeds for being socially action-minded.
So I think one of the big things that sort of influenced me when I was here at Davis was a lot of the time, every single year, especially in middle school, we all participated in some sort of charity project, whether in like elementary school, that being like Camp Jenny backpack drives or bake sales or all those things where we're raising money and canned goods for people who need them. And then in middle school, elaborating that with going to like the one of the serving pancakes at a homeless shelter, or interacting with people in the inner Atlantic community, getting to know them and learning about their stories. And really, all those sort of experiences mashed together gave me this really, really strong understanding of what it means to be a mensch and what it means to build and help maintain strong communities around that, like center themselves around building up other people and helping other people out when they need it.
Cool, thank you. In the last couple of years, Jacob, you and I have talked a couple of times about the leadership cohort that you've participated in, some unique opportunities to grow your acumen as a leader and in the social action direction. Can you tell us a little bit about those experiences and what kind of effort and work went into them and some rewards that you got from them?
So I was actually lucky enough to be a part of, I was accepted to and attended an outdoor leadership school called the Alzar School, which is a school that both prides themselves on like outdoor adventure and fun stuff like that, but also a really big part of it is raising leaders, helping people learn the skills that are necessary to be a leader, like public speaking and being confident, knowing different types of leaders. As I talk to MSLTI kids will know like the different types of leaders you can be and how to interact with one another. And in that, I was able to build a really strong group of friends because there were a bunch of other people who attended that school with me, and each one of those people was an individual leader and someone who I greatly respected. And actually, a couple of them ended up going home and completing our version of your project, which is called our accumulating leadership project. And basically, it was like a combination of all of our work in school, because we had a class dedicated to it, as well as work that we did outside of school when we got home to our home communities. And each person sort of created this project much similar to yours to help their home communities and help out people at home. So one of my friends who lives in Alabama, she decided that there are a lot of girls who aren't able to find dresses for homecoming or prom and dances like those. So she actually created this entire like warehouse almost of donated dresses that her friends, family, people she didn't know donated to her, and then enabled a bunch of girls to come into a fashion show and then shop afterwards in this little warehouse she built up of different prom dresses and all that stuff, and sort of built a lot of friends doing it that way. But she was one of like our shining stars. She was someone who really went through and finished it, but a lot of other people were able to complete things where they raised money and did some other things that allowed them to really benefit their home communities.
So, you know what, it's interesting. So, for the viewers, this is very stream of consciousness, and we didn't plan or script any of this. Let's talk about that example a little bit, because one of the things that sounds to me like, is that there was a passion in her and a love that she had for, you know, having something really nice for these dances and parties, and saw that others didn't have it, and not just the dressing up, but the why that's important. It's not just having the nice dress, but why. Can you talk a little bit about what you think the empathetic piece is here? Because, I mean, it sounds to me that she was empathetic for others, and that led her to social action and leadership in that area. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So I think that's a really big part of charity and doing these types of projects in general. Is one, you have to find something you're passionate about. So this girl from Alabama, she has always prided herself in her own appearance. Something like she always wants to look fresh, she wants to look good, and she loves dressing up, looking nice. And at the same time, she, like you were saying, she would realize that there were a bunch of other kids out my age and younger who weren't afforded those same opportunities, maybe due to economic reasons, social reasons, many other different things. And she, instead of sort of keeping to herself and being like, well, I have all this stuff, she was able to look at that and be like, well, I know how happy this makes me, so I want other people to be able to experience that happiness like I'm able to. And I think that's a really, really big part of finding the right project, finding the right thing that works for you, is not only finding something you're passionate about, but finding something that makes you so happy that you want to share that with other people.
Great. That's awesome. You know, having the idea, having the passion, having the empathy are paramount. They are the priorities. But there's a work piece to it. There's an effort piece. There's a educating oneself piece that goes with the best initiatives, the best efforts. Talk a little bit about that in your experience and how you see that as being an important piece of any social action and leadership.
So for us, when we were at this school, when we were doing our culminating leadership projects, we had about half the semester, not like a couple weeks, but like a solid 9 weeks worth of time where all of us were told to focus, do research, make sure we found contacts, new people, all of that stuff. And we spent 9 weeks doing just the basic planning parts of it, and formulating our ideas, refining them, adding more to them, taking some stuff away from them, and sort of editing them till we got to the project that we all really wanted to. And it didn't stop there, because when we got back home, a lot of us continued that and were able to continue work on that. So not only those 9 weeks, but also time spent at home. Maybe not every day, but like a couple times a week, or whenever you could, you met with your contacts that you had created when you were at school. You did some more research, found venues, did all that stuff, and everything that sort of would allow you to actually complete your leadership project. And a lot of times, like I know a couple friends, including myself, they don't necessarily always work out like as you plan them to. That doesn't mean you give up though. Like for me, my plan initially was to create this outdoor gear drive. And then that idea fell apart mainly due to like lack of interest in like home community of people. Not a lot of people have that outdoor gear in general, so it's a lot harder to find people who are willing to donate that. So that sort of fell through, but instead of giving up and being like, oh, well, I can't do anything now, I decided to change it a little bit. And even that plan, the second plan, creating a summer camp that's outdoor based out of JCC, that didn't quite work out either. But the thing is instead of giving up on those issues, giving up on the things that you're passionate about, you have to work through those things. So I've found, since then, a couple other things that have allowed me to sort of complete that project, get through that, and sort of share what I'm passionate about to everyone else. And funnily enough, my final CLP project, the final thing is me helping out you guys. I found out that my passion is not only the outdoors and all that stuff, but is also the leadership stuff that I learned in the past, and something that made me happy and it made me a better person. So I want to help share that not only with my community at my high school and with my family, but with you guys and people that I know could really benefit from it, because you guys, as the 8th grade class, have an opportunity to do something amazing and create this amazing thing. And I would love to do anything I can to help you guys reach that potential and reach that ability and hopefully go on to do even better things than you're doing currently.
Great. And, I've got a final comment and then a last question. That, the interesting comment that I have, I'm not saying the comment is interesting, but the interesting thought I have is, they're sitting in a chair where you were sitting not too long ago. And so
less than 5 years ago.
Yeah, you said an example for, not only an aspirational example, but also a very realistic example. You're one of us, and here you took what you learned and what you already had in you, and you've taken this a pretty good distance, and I'm sure that you'll take this a lot further. My last question for you is, I'm sure that some of the 8th graders now are thinking there's a lot of talk about leadership here. Maybe some people don't think of themselves as leaders, or what does leadership have to do with social action? So can you talk a little bit about what do you think leadership has to do with social action?
So for me, leadership is a very fluid idea. So leadership is not one concrete thing. Like, you may look at the president, future, current, and past, and be like, oh, that's a leader, or a congressman, or someone, or a teacher, or a principal, someone like that. And all of those people are leaders, but that doesn't mean the people behind them aren't, because a really big part of leadership is how complex and different leaders are as people. Because you could be a leader who doesn't necessarily stand in front of a group and say something. You could be that guy who's in the back helping push everybody along and help everybody out, making sure everybody's okay. That's just as much leadership as being able to lead a group of people, like, directly from the front. So I think with how sort of what leadership has to do with social action is one of the greatest qualities any leader can have is compassion. That's the one quality that all good, effective, loved leaders have. Every leader in history who has been revered by its people and loved by its people, and all the regardless of how large that group is, each of them shared that compassion for the fellow people. And that's sort of where social action fits in, is because social action is actually what's the application of that compassion. And so by doing this social action project, you're not only becoming a better leader yourself, but you're improving the community around you, which is a huge topic when it comes to being a leader. Is your biggest goal is to make the people around you, the world around you, and your settings around you better. And that's what you're doing through social action and through learning more about leadership and applying that leadership.
Thank you very much, Jacob. Appreciate your time.
No problem.